Hey, it's Justin, and on this episode of Casual Fridays, we're counting down the top 10 underrated engines of all time. But before we get started, make sure to like and subscribe so you don't miss out on any of our latest videos. Also, drop a comment on this video to tell us how awesome our list is, or if we totally suck and don't know what we're talking about. So everyone loves the 426 Hemi, and the Chevy small block is darn near everywhere. But what are some of the underrated, underappreciated engines that we see all the time? There's lots of candidates, so we actually enlisted the help of some of our social media fans and followers. And here's the list that we came up with. Kicking off our list at number 10 is the Volkswagen air-cooled Boxer 4. While this family of engines can be found in millions of vehicles, a lot of folks don't realize some of its bona fide performance potential. These Volkswagen 4-cylinders have made their way into plenty of vehicles, including boats, trikes, aircraft, even a few Porsche models. These engines are delightfully simple, relatively reliable, and affordable. What's not to like here? They're easy to work on too. Kane D on Facebook said, "My mom rebuilt one of these on the kitchen table and installed it herself." Those are bonus points, my friend. At number 9, we have the Pontiac Iron Duke. If Rodney Dangerfield was an engine, he'd be a 2.5 Iron Duke. In stock trim, the Iron Duke was loud, buzzy, and not powerful. But man, that sucker would run forever with minimal maintenance. Though made by Pontiac, the Iron Duke found itself in a mystifying array of vehicles, from postal Jeeps to Camaros, Fieros, and S10s, and seemingly in every 1980s economy car GM had in its stable. But despite all those pedestrian applications, some readers were quick to point out that 2.5 four-banger had some potential too. Chris C. shared on Facebook, "I've seen a few of these things with turbochargers lay down some crazy numbers." Number 8 is the Oldsmobile V8. A lot of social media commenters offered up various iterations of Oldsmobile second-gen V8s, like the short deck 350 or the tall deck 455 that we all love. From brute power to gas-sipping efficiency, the Oldsmobile V8 wore a lot of hats around the halls of GM, and it picked up plenty of fans along the way. The engine took on performance upgrades as well too. Ulysses M shared, "My little iron-headed 350, bored 30 over, lays down 11 sixes on pumped gas." Now, number 7 is the AMC 232 or 258 inline 6. Sometimes an engine is underrated simply due to the shadow cast by its successor. Case in point is the carbureted AMC 232 or 258 inline 6. While there's no question that the Jeep 4-liter is one of the best off-road engines ever made, many folks don't realize that the EFI 4-liter actually evolved out of an inline 6, originally designed to power AMC passenger cars. Once AMC bought Jeep though, these 6s wound up in CJs, and the rest is, well, history. As Juan S. pointed out, it was in production 42 years. It was so good, Chrysler used it until 2006. How about a V6 for number 6? And it's the GM 4.3 V6. What would happen if you took away cylinders number 3 and number 6 from a trusty small block Chevy V8? Well, you'd get a new family of super durable 90-degree V6 engines that culminated into the 4.3 V6. And it powered plenty of things, from GM cars, trucks, and anything in between. As Alan M. said, "It's not a powerhouse, but boy will it last forever." Nicknamed the 3/4 350, the 4.3 V6 version shared so many of the same parts as the small block Chevy it was based off of, including some valve train parts, bell housing bolt pattern, and the same 4x3.48 inch bore and stroke. Next up on the list, we have the Pontiac overhead cam Sprint 6 at number 5. So far, most of the engines on this list were just ordinary power plants that did their jobs really, really well. But the Pontiac Sprint 6 is an entirely different story. Using revolutionary, for the era of course, overhead camshaft architecture, the Sprint 6s could be a legit replacement for V8 power. Thanks to cheap, plentiful gas in the 1960s, the innovative design became a classic case of being too far ahead of its time. At number 4 is the Studebaker V8. Michael H. describes this one as overbuilt like a tank. DI also chimed in and said they're as tough as they come. Launched in 1951, Studebaker's engines featured forged internals, a gear-driven cam, solid lifters, and 18, count them, cylinder head bolts. Man, that is some clamping force. So it's no surprise that these engines took forced induction so well, usually by the way of a Paxton supercharger. In fact, the super rare R3 performance spec easily made over 300 horsepower. And at number 3, a very unsuspecting choice, yup, the Briggs Stratton L-Head. The humble pull-start Briggs Stratton powered untold numbers of lawnmowers, rototillers, and snow throwers. But they've been adapted in mini bikes and go-karts, making these little 4-stroke thumpers so endearing. In fact, the Briggs Stratton now offers a lineup of crate engines for go-karts and junior dragsters. That'll keep you from pillaging your neighbor's lawn equipment. Nate D says these little engines is what sparked my interest in combustion engines and hot rodding. I'm sure you're not alone. At number 2, behold Mopar's Leaning Tower of Power. While the Slant 6 is easily overshadowed by multiple versions of Chrysler V8s, it's nothing less a huge part of Mopar's history. Like many engines on this list, it's been preserved for decades, adapting to changing times through fuel injection and evolving emissions control systems. It's earned plenty of supporters in the process. Described by some of our social media fans as bulletproof and just a little beast, a Slant 6 just don't die. These legendary reliable engines lands high up on our list. And at number 1, the Ford 300 Inline 6. Honestly, we hesitated to include this one. After all, it's pretty much beloved by the Blue Oval Brigade. Yet at the same time, the 300 doesn't have the pizzazz of a 302, a side oiler 427, or even a mod motor. But the sheer overwhelming response of our fans and customers showed for this one demanded that we not only include the 300, but we lock it in as number 1 on this list. Rather than me rant on about what makes the 300 spectacular, we'll head to a few of our readers to give you the skinny. Keith F calls it the best motor Ford ever built. Mark K said it ran forever and would take you anywhere. And Joe M simply says these are as tough as nails. So that's it for our list. Tell us where we went wrong and maybe even where we went right and what you'd like to see in our future Casual Friday videos. So until next time, I'm Justin with Summit Racing. I'm signing off and thanks for watching.